Warning. The system has become unstable.
Welcome back, people of the internet. This is going to be a fun one for me and for you, and I don't know, maybe not. It's not. Forget it. Okay, hey, you want to see a clip from my basic training graduation where people are yelling devil stuff because I was the devil guy? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to get your chance to experience that here live on the internet, recorded on the internet. Something on the internet. Okay, having said that, I'm going to go ahead and let it play. Check out the footage, and there's going to be some ritual footage and some other stuff from an interview of me talking in 2013, contextualizing some of the information, because there's also a clip from a 1988 interview of me on TV by Karen Church. And so that will need some clarification, but let's go ahead and get to that first, and then we can always clarify later, because that's what you do, is what's clarification.
Footage of my basic combat training graduation where the other troops in my platoon are yelling things like the devil made me do it and Lucifer, as well as my last name.
I intend to become a priest in the church, become a card-carrying member.
When I was 17 years old and a soldier stationed at Fort Lee in Virginia, I joined the Church of Satan.
This is the Satanic Bible. The author, which is your high priest, and this is someone you would like to study under at some point, as I understand.
Oh, most definitely.
As the whole world is aware, that is aware of me and has followed my career, especially when I was involved with the Church of Satan, everybody knows I knew Dr. LaVey personally.
Anton Szandor LaVey.
Anton Szandor LaVey.
Shemhem Farash.
Shemhem Farash.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
I only spent a couple of evenings with him. I never pretended to do otherwise. The man invited me to California to his home, which is where we spent time in the Black House and out at restaurants. Dr. LaVey promoted me to the status of agent in his living room in the infamous Purple Parlors. The vast sum of people in the Church of Satan during his lifetime never even met the man. The vast sum of the people on earth have never even heard of the man, let alone met the man. And I got to spend a couple of very long, wonderful evenings with him.
One of the most exhilarating and magical moments in my life was way back many a year ago in January of 1992, when we got to spend a couple of evenings with the founder of the Church of Satan and author of the Satanic Bible, Dr. Anton Szandor LaVey. Treated one evening to a surreal 45-minute personal concert by the maestro himself on his altar of keyboards, and he played for us a surreal, noir, gothic, truly satanic rendition of personal whimsy, old songs, hymnals, and carny music, all woven together in a odd brew that truly made a cohesive sound, a distinctively LaVeyan sound.
He was a man in his 60s, and I was barely about 20, so it wasn't that we were buddies. There was none of that. In fact, he said to authors Mike Hertenstein and John Trotter that I was very young, but he expected me to do good for the church, and they put that in a book they published. And that's, in fact, what happened. In 93, there was a rather nasty separation between us. In 97, there was a mending of fences, and my membership was renewed. On the summer solstice of 2001, I believe it was, I was ordained to the priesthood of Mendez, a third-degree member, all that jazz. My membership and my ordination came to an end with finality on, I believe, July 3rd, 2003. That's the history of my Church of Satan affiliation. It dates, depending on how you do your math, at least officially beginning in 1989 and ending in 2003. I am not a member of the Church of Satan. I don't want to be a member of the Church of Satan, even if they wanted me, and they don't, and that's fine. But my affiliation with them was just highly documented.
All right. So, hey, well, that's not the camera I wanted to go to. So let's go here. All right. So I'm wearing my USA Rock shirt to, sort of pay my respects to the military footage. This is also the same shirt that I wore when my wife and I went to see President Trump at a Trump rally here in our home state back during his first term, his first administration. That was a fun time. We had a great time. And I'm wearing my black, my Gothic Make America Great hat again. It's my MAGA hat. America first. So there's all kinds of footage in there that's it's worth mentioning, or at least passing. So the guy in the devil mask, you see him from time to time in different clips that I have added or that I will add, and so that's Johnny Romano, and he is one of the four horsemen of the Order of the Apocalypse, which was the inner circle, the co-founding shapers of the Infernal Order, and I have to repeat it a million times. Me and two other people founded the Infernal tradition as the Knights of the Black Circle. Very dramatic name. In 1987, it was the Satanic Panic, and we were teenagers. So what do you want to do? But we had dozens of followers, and they demanded we create a cult for them. So we created a cult for them, and that's what became of it. We had a mentor who was Scott, the Digital Messiah Blair, who has passed on sadly. He was a very good friend of mine for many, many years. And he too was one, because when everything for us took off in '87, he was just sort of like a spiritual advisor. He was a decade or something older than me, and he had just gotten out of the Marine Corps and was going into law enforcement, and so he wasn't involved with us. Although there were other adults, even in his general age group, that were involved with us, he was sort of a spiritual advisor. Fast forward a few years, 5 years or something, and so then he took the lead. He was the one that said, "Hey, I like the potential that you present with this organization because we're friends and I respect you and I like you and all that good stuff, but we need to sort of shape this and make it sort of more structured." And so he took the lead with that, and so with him and with J.D. Alder, John Alder, Doctor Who, and Johnny Romano, the four of us, and so Johnny Romano and Scott were both about a decade or a dozen years my senior. JD was 23 years my senior, so I was this young whippersnapper with these guys that were, in one fashion or another, were my mentors, were like big brothers to me. But on the other hand, they also deferred to me in certain religious aspects, which is interesting because I think it's in Nietzsche's book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. To paraphrase something to the effect of the pupil repays the teacher poorly if he always remains a pupil or a student or something like that. So it was interesting because in '87, Scott really was my spiritual advisor and mentor. And then years later, those roles had reversed. Even though I considered us peers, I considered us, colleagues and everything, but then I was ordained to the Church of Satan, and so was his priest in that regard too, in addition to the Infernal Order. So and actually, in that rite, in the background, because it's so dark, I think Scott's there too. So in that rite, you have both Johnny Romano and J.D. Alder in that rite. So anyway, the point is, there's three, if not all four, and then there are other people there that I won't mention here and now for different reasons. In that very early footage from '91, but you'll see them, or at least JD and Scott. Well, JD for another several years, and then Scott all the way till 2000, 2001, that kind of thing. And then I went back to New York City in 2002, early 2002. So that's when his image ceases to appear in pictures and video. And then again, sadly, he has passed since then. I'll tell you this. So this is, really just amazing. So Scott, he and his wife and their children eventually bought the house directly next door, literally next door to the house that I owned with my first wife and our family. So, the two founders, the co-founders of the Infernal Order, were literally side by side in the houses that we owned, and almost everybody in our inner circle, which is roughly 10 or a dozen people. I'm talking inner circle, not outer circle. Everyone except one person lived within 2 miles of us, and then the other fellow had a little bit of a drive, but not too terrible, maybe 30 or 40 miles. But everyone else was within a 2 mile radius, and and then I had owned a satanic bookstore and stuff with my ex-wife, but I had so many people over the years, whether I was in the military or music or no matter what I was doing, just some sort of just normie job or in existence, keeping a low profile. I've had so many people tell me, I've looked for years to meet another Satanist, or I looked for years to meet another Church of Satan member, and I can never find them, and years around, how did you do this? I'm like, I don't know, it's sort of happened. So that is the case. But I do want to emphasize what I emphasized in that 2013 interview, which is I am not a member of the Church of Satan. I have not been a member of the Church of Satan for years. Not a member, not an agent, not a priest. All that stuff is way, way behind me. I don't say it was nastiness. I don't say it to ruffle any feathers. I just want to make sure that there's no miscommunication. I'm not misrepresenting anything. No one can accuse me of misrepresenting anything. I have no mud that I want to sling on them. They do their thing. I do my thing. That's fine. It's a big world. It's lots of room to people do their own things. And although I'm still in concurrence with 99% of everything philosophically and aesthetically that LaVey represented, there's that 1 or 2% that has changed. But one of them is a rather gigantic thing, and that is I have definitely evolved over years as a science-driven development. I have become a theist, not a fall on my knees road to Damascus. I was blinded by the Luciferian light of the devil. Nothing like that. Completely science driven. But I am convinced of a creator, of a God. I don't know what that means. That's where I stop, and I'm not gonna sell you something that I can't define for you. I'm just telling you that as a matter of science, and this is not the video for that, as a matter of science, I have become convinced to the reality of God, and that this is a fractal holographic simulacrum of an existence, and whether it's part of, we're just thoughts in the mind of God, like we're the egregors, we're the thought forms, or we're individual monads in the philosophical sense, in physics, and there's really amazing information on that. But again, I don't want to go down the science rabbit hole in this video. I just want to share the military stuff. I had an altar in my barracks in Germany, which I have published many times. I had a picture or two of it. I still do that pops up. It's you can even go to my free Facebook group, Infernal Order of the Left Hand Path. Go there, and somewhere in those pictorials, there's one, or I might crop it and close up on it or whatever, and then get a wide shot, whatever. But there's at least one picture of the humble altar that I had in my barracks in Germany. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out. So military, Satanism, TV interview, teenager, blah, 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 and no longer involved with the church. Wish everybody well. Go do your thing. I'll go do my thing. And so people of the internet, you have a fantastic day, and go do devil stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Devil stuff.
Warning. The system has become unstable.